be our awesome speaker today, and you're more than welcome to ask any of your questions if you have them. I hope you do. And if you have a question but someone is speaking, just feel free to use this raise hand option on Zoom, or just turn on your microphone and speak up. So let's start.
Okay, thanks, Elena. Well, hello, everyone.
Hello.
It's good morning where I am. It's 11 o'clock in the morning, so there's a 2-hour time difference now. My name is Julia. I'm British English, and I was born originally just outside of London. I've lived and worked all over Europe and the United States, and I've done everything from tourism and having my own businesses to working in schools from kindergarten to college level, and also working one-on-one with people for various things. So it's just a question of, if you want to ask me whatever you'd like, then I'll answer as honestly as I can for you. So I don't know who's going to coordinate the questions, but please feel free.
We have a list of questions prepared beforehand, the ones that, oh, I can see a raised hand. Sibila?
Yeah, hi to everyone.
Hello.
Just yeah, I have just like usual questions like, how are you doing there? How's the life there? What about the lockdowns and situations like with coronavirus in your country?
Okay. The UK, we've gone through 2 major things in the last year: Brexit and the virus, is the same as the rest of the world. We've been in a very strict lockdown. The first one was 3 months, and then we had a few months off, then another month, a month off, and then now we've been in lockdown since January, beginning of January. It's reduced our figures amazingly, but our vaccination program is huge. I've already had my first vaccination, and I think we're now 32 million people out of 68 million have been vaccinated. So it's something like about nearly 60% of the adult population. As far as Brexit is concerned, yes, there's been some hiccups. The EU has decided they're going to try and get back at the UK for everything they can. So in a sense, we've almost been sanctioned by the EU, and I'm sure you all understand that word. They try everything they can to make things uncomfortable for trading and everything like that. I was living in Europe and I came back to the UK prior to Brexit. I felt it was a safer option for the time being. So we're doing okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
So do we have any other?
One more, yeah, small question. I live in the village and my life didn't change since we have this coronavirus. I didn't feel like any changes, big changes in my life. What about your life, your personal life, and people lives of people in Britain? How did your life change, or has it changed? And did you have any problems like with food, with transport, with anything which related to our usual normal everyday's life?
I don't know if you saw some of the press coverage, but everyone seemed to think that they had to stockpile toilet rolls. Don't ask me why toilet rolls, but they just vanished from everywhere and you couldn't buy them from any, literally shelves were empty in supermarkets. As far as the UK was concerned, we didn't run out of food. Prices on food did not rise. So we didn't have any problems like that, but we were very strictly confined to our homes. So it was stay at home, save lives, protect the NHS, which is our National Health Service. So that was our motto. And we did strictly adhere to it. Well, I'd say 95%. And I don't know about where you are or any of you in other countries, but we were not used to wearing masks. And masks became a part of everyday life. So it's now in every shopping bag and every coat pocket that I have a mask. So that wherever I go, I just put my hand in my pocket. I wear one in the street. I feel more comfortable. But it's law in shops, public transport, any offices. And we're only just in the last week opened the terraces of outdoor cafes and restaurants and non-essential shops. You still cannot go inside various places. You can't go into hospitality. Hotels are not open. So we're still in the process of opening up our system again. So it's changed that now masks are normal. We're much more conscious of other people. And I think that we're much more conscious of our National Health Service and what they actually do for us, not just the National Health, but all frontline workers, all the people that put themselves at risk. We're much more conscious of them.
Okay, thank you. We have one question in the chat from Rosanna. The question is, how has the teaching changed compared to 10 or 20 years ago? Have you noticed any changes?
Has anything changed? I think it's much more spoken English. You talk much more. You're more friendly towards the students. You're not friends with them, as in there's no breach of the area, but within schools, you've become far more approachable. So it's not sort of like the teachers, like I'm God, and the students are just these people sitting in front of you. I've taught in the last 10 years in a kindergarten, and they were 5 to 7-year-olds. So I was teaching really beginners English, which is exceptionally energetic and takes an awful lot of energy and power because you have to dance around and engage them. And then I've done a lot of one-to-one teaching with 16 to 18-year-olds who are wanting to enter the Erasmus program and wanting to get into university. So they're trying to pass the English exams that they need to prove that they're capable, like similar to IELTS, that they are capable of joining in the lectures and being useful members of a university life. So has it changed? The language is changing. I don't always understand what some of the sort of like teenagers are talking about. My nieces and nephews tell me that I'm quite old-fashioned. Oh, auntie, you know, don't you know this word? The slang has changed. So sometimes I feel a little outdated. But generally, no, the subjects are the same. Everything is just slightly more modern. And technology plays a much larger part in the classroom than it used to. So, you know, there's a lot more technology going on.
Thank you.
Any more questions?
Yeah, do you have any questions here? Don't be shy, just turn on your microphone.
I'm quite approachable.
Oh, I can see raised hands. Artem.
Hey, Julie, thanks
Hi.
for coming. Could you tell us a little bit about your experience teaching Russian students, and if possible, outline some typical mistakes that they make?
Yes, certainly. Russian students in particular, some of them have a very heavy accent and some of them have hardly any accent at all. And many of them seem to want to copy mine. Now, I don't know if my accent is particularly that wonderful, but they seem to think that a British accent is the accent to have. So they do try to copy me in that sense, and I try to oblige as much as possible. I have some videos on how to use the RP accent. You can learn it. I'm from London originally, so my native growing up accent, if you like, is a London accent. But when I started teaching and lecturing, I found I spoke too quickly. I used too much slang, and I soon learned to slow my speech down and to drop my London accent. So now this is my natural accent and has been for many, many years. Although if I'm with my family, I can go back into the London accent. Main mistakes that are made are with the word clothes. I don't know how many people say clothes. And even some students which have been with me for maybe 200 lessons still say clothes. And I'm always going, and they go, oh, yes, clothes. And also with sentence construction. I believe with your grammar, you put the verbs in different places and things like prepositions and things like that, you put them in different places. So sometimes the sentence construction is a little odd. But grammatically, I find Russian students are probably even better than I am. We do not learn English grammar in our main school years. We are brought up to speak English naturally, and we hear when something sounds wrong. And it's only when we get to over 16 and we split our English into English language and English literature that we can choose to actually study grammar. So many people, if they choose not to go that route, don't actually ever study grammar like you do, and in many other schools, you drill grammar. So sometimes when I'm asked a grammatical question, it sounds correct to me what's being said, but I still have to look up the rules myself. I don't automatically know them because we were never taught them. It's part of our natural language. Is that the type of thing you wanted to know?
Yeah, thank you very much. It was very interesting.
You're welcome. I'll be as honest as I can.
Thank you. I think I saw another raised hand that was probably raised at the same time. All right, we've got another question from Julia.
Yeah, thank you. So as you were speaking about the grammar, my students often ask me like, is this a problem? Is this a big problem if I use the articles wrong in the wrong way? And I say, no, that's not that big, that's not that horrible, but if you use them right, then you sound like beautiful and so on. But sometimes I think maybe really some students pay a lot attention to the articles, and I cannot convince them that it's not that, dangerous to use them in a wrong way. Am I correct? Am I right? Or maybe not?
When I first speak to a new student, I ask them if they are more interested in fluency or accuracy. And most of them are interested in fluency. So they're interested in making themselves understood and understand, what's being said to them. So I tend to give the example, like, where were you last week? I went to London. I was in London. oh, I have been in London. They're all three different grammatical constructions, but they all mean you were in London. So is it correct to always stop a student when they're speaking to correct small grammatical mistakes, or allow them to continue and become fluent? Because if you stop them at every little mistake to correct them, you stop the fluency, you stop their confidence. And in many times, yes, they're speaking and they can speak for 4 or 5 minutes, and I will notice 4 or 5 small mistakes, but I've understood everything they've said. They've made themselves very clear. And if it's not a major mistake, which is going to give cause to a misunderstanding, then I don't correct them. Because otherwise they're going to think, oh, she's going every 10 seconds, oh, you didn't say a thing. You didn't say the office. You didn't say this. You said went instead of was. And then they go, oh, okay, okay. And it shuts it down. So with fluency comes accuracy. But I find that the fluency comes first. And then they begin to hear that they're sounding something slightly wrong. Because if they say something really that I think is incorrect, then I just say the sentence myself at the end of the, the next bit. I just say it and they go, oh, okay, is that better to say it that way? Yes. And that's it. So I don't know, does that help at all?
Yes, thank you, of course. So I also think so. And I say, but some students, they want to have like high level English just right now and know everything at once. And I say that this is impossible. Of course, I can explain everything to you now, just within 1 hour, maybe. But it's not effective because you need to practice a lot and just step by step, just take it as something not that strict, not that dangerous to make some small mistakes. And I also think that if it doesn't cause any misunderstanding, it's okay to make mistakes. Yeah. Okay, thank you very much.
You're welcome. I thought I saw earlier someone called Victoria put a hand up.
So yes, hello. You were talking about teaching students and kids at school.
Yeah.
And I would like to ask about gadgets and technology. So are you using them a lot? I don't know, tablets, other things. Are you still using books, copybooks?
Let's take the difference. I don't know. I'm 62 years old. Okay. When I was first in school, we didn't have mobile phones. We didn't have computers. We didn't have tablets. I mean, literally, we didn't have calculators. It was a pen and paper, and that was it. Computers and mobile phones came along in the 1970s when I was sort of like 18. And so we learned everything the old-fashioned way. Then they started bringing all of the stuff into the classroom as it came. You could have a calculator, you could have this, you could have that. It was another learning experience for me. I had to learn how to use technology. Even now, my mental arithmetic's, much faster. I can do things sometimes faster than, on pen and paper, than people can sit there and tap it into their everything like this. So schools these days have banned a lot of technology from the classroom. Hi, little one. And because students were not using it as a technological aid to the lesson, but they were all sitting there tweeting, Facebooking, messaging their friends and everything. So I've seen in some classrooms where there's a box on the teacher's desk. And as the students come in, they switch their phones off and put them in the box. When they finish the class, they get up, pick their phones up, and they can switch them back on again. And I think this is great because it focuses their attention on the class. and not on the gadget. I've got my phone that's sat next to me there, and I have WhatsApp web and my Skype on when I'm teaching, because I'm a very flexible person. I mean, my manager will tell you I'm probably too flexible with my students. They can contact me 10 minutes before the lesson if they're stuck in a business meeting. And they can say to me, I'm stuck in a business meeting. I'm either going to be 20 minutes late, or could you please move the class? And I'll go, I've got the same time tomorrow night, or I've got, you know, it's 1900 now, I've got 2200 tonight. And they'll go, oh, yes, please, I'll be home in 2 hours. Can we take it 20? And I'll move it. So flexibility is very good as well. And that's what I find is good with technology. But my phone is on silent. My WhatsApp web is on no notifications, so nothing pings. My Skype is the same, nothing pings. But I see a note come up, or, you know, just on my Skype, or my WhatsApp web goes 1, so I know a message has come in. And it doesn't interrupt what I'm doing. But if the student is sitting there, and I do have 1 or 2 who have 2 laptops, they have me on one and they've got their work on another, and they go, excuse me, answer that email, excuse me. That's frustrating. So I do tend to ask that, unless it's an emergency, not to use gadgets within the class. And that's the same in schools. They are now only allowing technology if it's something that is necessary. So I think that is the correct way to go. Otherwise, they lose focus, particularly today's teenagers. They're always on. I mean, I've never signed into TikTok. I've never signed into Snapchat. I've never signed into any of these. I'm old-fashioned, sorry. But yeah, I think they should leave technology out of the classroom in that sense, unless you're having a computer science class or an IT class, when that's what they're there for. Okay.
Thank you so much for the question and the answer. We have a question in the chat, and Inna wants some tips on teaching young learners from your own practice experience.
Okay, how energetic are you? I was teaching, the last time I was teaching in kindergarten, I was teaching in Portugal. So I was teaching Portuguese speakers. They didn't speak English. Luckily, I'm fluent in Portuguese, but it's how do you interact with them? You interact by, like, hello is not hello, how are you? Hello. You know, my name's Julia. Hi. What's, you know, it's really being excessive, because then they go, oh, they start jumping up and down, and I say, jump up if your name's this, jump up if your name's that. And you have to really get them interested. And I have a collection of fluffy animals, depending on the time of the year. I've got Father Christmas or a snowman, and then I've got cats and dogs. And it's literally, oh, look, he's on the desk. Where is he now? Oh, he's under the table. And, you know, and then you hide the animals around the room. Somebody find the dog for me. Where is he? So you have to get really physically involved with young learners. It's no good just sitting there and expecting them to listen, expect to be drilled, because they lose focus within one sentence. And don't speak their language to them. Speak only English. It's very important not to give in all the time and say to something, you know, I mean this, I mean that. This is the word I'm looking for. literally just keep going with the English and demonstrating, and keep your energy levels up and have somewhere to sit down afterwards.
Okay, and what about online classes like this?
Online, we're lucky with cameras. And again, you can be just as energetic on camera as you see. Yay, hello. Use your hands, gesticulate, use your face, become expressive, learn how to mime, learn how to act. You can still have an animal with you. I mean, hold on one sec, I just grab this one. You know, keep it with you. Oh, it's on my head. Ah, it's in front of me. Oh, he's hiding behind me. Literally, you can still do online what you do in front of them. Yes, this is my snowman one. It's just up on the shelf at the moment. So things like that. I also have cards, and I have alphabet cards. You know, A is for apple with a picture of an apple. And on some of the cards, it says an apple. So it gives, you know, the proper article, or an ice cream, or a ball. And I hold them up and I say, what's this one? What letter's this? And they go, B, B. Turn it around. B is for a ball. And literally you can teach like that as well. So there's lots of different things that you can do online. You don't have to just sit there and stare at them, but you do have to learn to act, mime, and you may think you look stupid, but they just think you're wonderful. You just don't give it away.
Okay, thank
It's
you
about
so much.
teenagers then. Thank you very much. It's
You're
about
welcome.
I mean, well, young learners, these are about kids. And what about like little bits like 12, 13, those transition state aliens?
Yeah, I have two students that started with me when they were, one was 12 and one was 13 and a half. She's just turned 15. To get them interested, again, is find out what they like and do a little bit of research yourself. My 13-year-old is a physics, absolutely into physics. He's currently in Sochi at this physics Olympiad thing down at that special university thing there. So I have taught myself about his favorite subject, which is robotics. I really don't know that much about robotics and artificial intelligence, but I've literally taught myself a lot of the language and things like this. So I would say if you had to describe me, I would say I'm a born researcher. You have to find out what your students like. You have to keep them engaged. And one of the ways of doing it is to be able to talk about what their hobbies and interests are. So I know it takes some of your time, but literally that's what Google is for. Get a list from them of what they like, what they want to talk about, what interests they have, and don't just stick to what's on the platform. A lot of my lessons, each lesson on the platform takes 2 lessons with the student, because we spend the first 15 minutes having a conversation, what they've been doing, what their interests are. If I've read something, I send them an article on WhatsApp or on Skype about their favorite subject. Did you read the article I sent you? What did you think of this new this new technological advance? What do you think of this? And so engage them in small talk. And then we do part of the lesson. So it's just finding out, really. And you get them interested in what they're interested in. So I've learnt a lot more from engaging with what my students want as well. So it's an ever-going teaching process, not just them, but you as well.
And learning.
Yes,
Yeah,
always learning.
Thank you. Since you mentioned small talk, it was one of the questions that teachers shared in the chats before the meeting. So basically small talk can be like discussing the article, right, that you just sent as homework, or what else can be a small talk in your understanding?
Small talk. Many people can talk about the subject of their work. So a lot of work is particularly in technology or something like that. English is the main language of computer science or IT. So they can talk about that. They know the words, they know the vocabulary, but they don't know normal vocabulary, like, is this egg fried, boiled, poached, scrambled? You know, they don't know everyday conversation. So what we try to do is, there's some wonderful lessons on the platform. And I've got some standard ones, which if a student wants to learn what I call just almost basic English, I use the one on personalities. I use the one on eating out. I use the one on national stereotypes. So things like this, these are ones, there's medical ones, first aid and things like this, that they don't know the general everyday vocabulary. So that they may be wonderfully advanced students as far as business is concerned, but they're only intermediate when it comes to everyday language. So that's what we work on. And a lot of them say, oh, I want to learn just to have a conversation. I join in a conference call, and when everybody's going, how are you? What did you do last week? Did you see that football match? Did you go here? Did you go? He says, I sit there in absolute silence because I can't small talk. But as soon as they start, oh, right, let's talk about the computer program, he says, I can talk forever. So that, I think, is important when you're, especially with advanced students and adult students, is many of them want to be able to speak more naturally, and they want to be able to learn small talk. So find those lessons. I mean, I can look them up and send them to Elena if you like, so that you can then look at yourselves on the platform and see these lessons that I use for general everyday vocabulary.
Yeah, we can share these tips after the meeting in the channels together with the link. So thank you so much. Because normally in our understanding, from what I know, is just a small talk is always something about the weather, or I don't know.
A British weather.
Normally,
yes.
Yeah, people always talk about the weather. So first of all, a compliment for you, Julia. You seem to be a dream teacher, being so enthusiastic and
Thank
a real
you.
role model. So then moving to another question from the chat. What do you focus on during your classes? Grammar, vocabulary, idioms, and what textbooks do you use? So not grammar, okay, right?
I have got grammar books. I've got the Oxford and the Cambridge grammar books. So, you know, I can send them to the students. Either, you know, I can link them onto WhatsApp, or I can link them via Skype for them. We also occasionally use the grammar which is on, you know, the platform, if there's a specific part which they want to improve themselves. As far as what we concentrate on, many of the idioms on the platform are actually quite outdated, and they're not idioms which we use in day-to-day language. Again, we use, yeah, it's not my cup of tea, it's raining cats and dogs. Yes, I mean, these are quite common ones, but some of them, I look at them, I think, I've never heard of that. What are they talking about? So I think when they use idioms within the platform, sometimes they look up some really obscure phrases and add them. The business ones are quite good, you know, let's work on a level playing field, move the goalposts, you know. So yes, these ones are quite usual that some people might use, but some of them they're just outdated and they don't get used. We often tend to focus on the speaking parts of the lessons so that they can talk to me. I'll ask questions, they'll answer. And many of the actual exercises, I will then send them as additional homework. So a lot of my... Hello. So many of my my classes tend to be more speaking. They want to speak. They love my accent. They want to copy me. They want to have a good conversation. So I hear back from my students that they are now being given more foreign clients, if you like, within their companies, because their English in the spoken sense is so much higher now, so that they're able to have these conference calls, they're able to give presentations. And I do extra work outside. I get a lot of messages on WhatsApp or Skype from my students. I'm writing a presentation. Can you just check this paragraph for me? Could you just check this sentence? Have I used the right? And I always do it. I know, you know, it's extra work and I don't get paid for it, but with my students, I have a wonderful relationship. And some of them have been with me for over 2 years. So they started off with me at 2 or 3 lessons a week, and now I have some of them that just have, you know, 1 lesson a week just for a conversation, or I've got one lady who just has 1 lesson a month with me just to keep up her English conversation, and she fits in whenever I have a gap. So relationships are very important as well. Get to know them, you know, and help out when you can. Don't just rigidly stick to it has to be within that 50 minutes and that's it. You know, cultivate something outside, just to be on hand if they need help.
Okay, thank you so much. We've got another question from Julia. Thank you for being so active.
Okay.
Me again, yes.
It's a good question.
I want to take as much as I can. I'm greedy a bit. So now the question is about the students who get just the certain level, and then some of them feel bored. Some of them get like stressed because they think like, I spend a lot of time on English and I don't have this level of like my dream level and so on. And then I just start to change my way of teaching. Like we watch videos and I try to get them into the American or English culture. And, you know, so as much as I can, I share everything that I see interesting with them. And last maybe 2 months, I'm thinking about like, how about leading them to some exams, like level exams and so on, maybe international exams, I don't know, just as the, I don't know, as the purpose, you know, the next purpose, because now they can speak well, and maybe this may help. I don't know. How do you think?
Quite a lot of my students have done the IELTS advanced course, and we find at the end of that they're lacking in certain areas, and it mainly seems to be speaking and listening. So we do discuss films. I say to them, watch this film or watch this TV series. And to start with, I say to them, maybe watch it with Russian subtitles. So for 2 or 3 episodes. Then watch it with English subtitles for 2 or 3 episodes. Then try to watch it with no subtitles. And I've got quite a few of them now. One just a couple of weeks ago was so highly delighted that he watched a Hollywood film with no subtitles and understood it. And he said, I actually watched a whole film with no subtitles. And so that is a way of training and to get them to get their level up. Many people rely on the written word. And the speaking, when it's whatever, whether it's Americanized or whether it's British, they don't hear a lot of it. They're so busy trying to concentrate on the subtitles to understand every word, they don't get the gist of it. So that is one way to get them more interested. Recommend a TV series and that they start doing without the subtitles, and try and choose something that they speak, either if they want British English, good English, or whatever their interest is. Find a TV series. Netflix has got everything. You can find one of my best friends in lockdown is Netflix, because we've been trapped in here. But yeah, that's a very good way of doing it. Encourage them to slowly go subtitle-less, so to speak.
Julia, do you have any specific recommendations relating to TV series or movies that could be especially helpful for, like?
The one I do not recommend is The Crown. I've had so many Russian students say to me that they're learning about British history by watching The Crown. It's a drama. It is not a documentary, and it is not historically correct. I always say use something. Downtown Abbey is very good, and the Sherlock Holmes with Benedict Cumberbatch, because they've got excellent accents. So those are two very good ones. And then look at some of the crime series if you want those as well. You can go to the crime series. No, I don't like The Crown, thank you, Elaine. So that they go, oh, did you know your queen did this? She didn't. If you read the reviews of The Crown, you will see that the person who writes it actually says, I take one little historical fact, which is 1 minute out of an hour, and the other 59 minutes are my artistic interpretation of what I think may or may not have happened. It's not a documentary. So please don't think that it's our monarchy, because it's not. So, I mean, again, I can write a list. Just, if they like things, Harry Potter movies. They're brilliant.
Oh,
you know.
That's my favorite.
And the books. Read the books. If anyone wants the books, I've got the books online. I can send them to Elaine and she can send them out to you. I've got all the books online. So, you know, we can share all the books if you want books. Share them with your students. Get them to read.
Okay, we've got 2 raised hands. Ladies, please turn on your microphones. Adila?
Can I go first?
Yes. Yes, sure. All right.
Thank you very much. So we were just talking about watching and listening more, but I have a person with a totally different problem. He can understand everything in listening very well, but for the life of him, he can't write it correctly. How do I help him? Do you have any tips about that?
Again, I've got some books on how to write in English, but it depends whether he wants academic English or whether he's going to be writing discursive essays, whether he's going to be writing just basic business emails and all this type of thing. So all of those things that you can find help for yourself online. Again, as I say, if there's something that I'm not 100% on, then I will look it up myself in how to help my students. You can also ask the school's methodologists. To be honest with you, I've asked them for a few bits and pieces. I need something on this. And they've sent me books and they've sent me downloads because they have a very large library in the school. And why buy your own books, to be honest, if the school already has them and is willing to share them to you? They will share them to you in your Google Drive. So that's where I've got some from. And it helps. So yeah, books, reading, and to read more. And I use a lot of my articles from bbc.com, which is free.
Yeah, it was just very strange because he knows all the words by sound of them, but the same words he just can't write.
And can't write them.
Yeah.
Get him to read articles and things like that so he can see how it's structured on paper, and get him to read it out loud to you. Get him to read the articles out loud to you, and then he can see how it's written and how it sounds. Because if he understands it, then yeah.
Thank you very much.
That's it. You're welcome. Anna's got
Yes,
her hand up.
I wanted to ask a question related to talking about the correcting mistakes while speaking. And there is no unfortunate certain formula to do that. We keep using the gestures, fingers, that if the sentence consists of 4 sentences, using the one is missing, one is extra, etc. And as my colleagues mentioned previous, the most common mistake is with the articles, with the tenses, the people doing it all the time. And the articles, it can be used while doing the warm-up in the small talk, but still the students keep doing it. Do you have maybe certain formula? Maybe from your background, you can give about it some life hacks.
If it's just about articles, again, there are maybe 10 really good lessons on the platform. Often I don't follow one particular course. So a student might say to me, oh, can we study articles? And I'll take 2 from grammar, 1 from the general, intermediate, 1 from general advanced, 1 from, sort of like business, 1 from this. And I will make a program up for the students. And then I also have all my own resources, which I will send them as additional. So if you find out something that they really cannot grasp, then it's to look up the resources that you have. And it's not drill it at them, but it's to say, when I'm doing an exercise with the articles and they don't know whether it's a terrace or the terrace, I say to them, before you put the or a in, is it specific? You've just turned around and said, the window is overlooking. So is the terrace the specific terrace it's looking at, or just any terrace, a terrace? Is it specific? And once they understand that, it makes life a lot easier. So it's, to understand yourself, whether it's specific or general. And if you understand that yourself, you can then explain it to them.
Thank you. And Anna, you're welcome.
Finally, hey guys.
Sorry, hi.
Hi, I would like to distract a little bit from grammar and methodology. Julia, I've been a fan of Royal Family for many years right now, and I know that Royal Institution is going through drastic changes. So can you please tell me, what is the attitude to the changes, to traditions, to Meghan Markle probably in Britain? Because I know just gossips from bloggers, and that's it. What do you feel about it?
I believe that my queen is head of my country. So that's my own personal viewpoint. She is our queen. She's my monarch. We have a monarchy. Of course, many youngsters and everything like that they don't see the monarchy as much as maybe people of my age do. Yes, it's very difficult sometimes because you don't personally see them. So you only see something on the news yourself, or you see something, you know, online, but they do a huge amount for our country, and they support a lot of charities, they support a lot of good works, and so they are patrons of an awful lot of things.
And they have amazing English.
Yes, they speak very well. On YouTube, I don't know if any of you have ever used it. It's called English Speeches with big subtitles. And on there, it's currently just over 100 speeches from everybody from Steve Jobs, Barack Obama, Donald Trump, to our Queen, and other people, presidents and famous actors and actresses. And so you can go on there, and these speeches are anything from about 10 minutes to about 30 minutes. And they're all in English with big subtitles. And that's really good if someone's trying to gain more vocabulary or understanding of basic English. Yes, English speeches with big subtitles on YouTube. Thank you, Elena. And I recommend that to a lot of my students when they're saying, I don't understand Indian English. You know, we're a global company and we've got people in India. Indian English is about one of the most dreadful accents going. So I apologize to anyone if here is English or Indian English. But when I lived in Portugal, if an Indian person tried to speak to me in English, I asked if they spoke Portuguese. English in India is one of their national languages because they used to be a colony of the UK. So unfortunately, they believe that they speak it perfectly, but their accent is atrocious. So it's very difficult to understand, particularly for people in global companies, if they have a branch within India. But there's quite a few Indian speeches on this English subtitle, you know, English speeches thing, so they can listen to it. And there's a wonderful, I mean, I don't know what you do about different English accents and American accents. Do you have problems with that at all? Like, do you all understand Scottish and Irish and Welsh and?
Oh,
Welsh is just wonderful. I'm just a fan of Welsh.
The Welsh. Yeah, yakida. Yeah. It's the way to learn Welsh is to learn that station name. You know, the longest word in Welsh.
Isn't it Finnish?
No, it's actually Welsh, and it's the longest station name in the world.
Okay. I guess not too many passengers arrive at that station.
The train ticket's about this long.
It's so cool. It's a nice souvenir, actually. And Julia, we've got a couple of questions related to homework, like your personal opinion and attitude, because like from your own experience, and I know that you, like some students, they are not really willing to spend time on that. How do you react to that? And the question is basically, should teachers force students, or like not force, maybe just encourage students to do homework, and to what extent?
I don't think you can force them. I mean, technically they're paying the school and they're paying you. So, you know, my joke is to them, I'm a long way away from you, so I'm not going to jump out behind your front door with a big stick and beat you over the head if you don't do it. I try to encourage them to do the bits that they have difficulty with. So often we'll do a lesson. They hate doing the writing. They hate doing the speaking, the recordings. I've got 2 or 3 students who do it, but most of them say, oh yeah, send me all the homework, but not the recording and the essay. You can't force them to do it. I try to get them to at least do the vocabulary and the grammar, if nothing else. And a lot of them will oblige, and they'll go, okay, I'll do this. Thank you, Julia. You've got to go. Lovely to see you. Any questions, send them to Elena and I'll answer more for you if you like. Bye. So yeah, you can't force them. You can ask them, you can tell them it will be beneficial to them, that if they've learned something within the class, then it will reinforce it, it will help them, it will make them see what they've done and they can practice, but you can't force them. And sometimes I see that a student has actually done the homework and I go, oh, well done, you did the homework, you know, and they go, yeah, I had a bit of spare time this week. But many of my students are very busy business people and they physically sometimes just do not have the time. So I never get angry about it. I might just make a joke about it and say, huh, you must have weeks worth of homework built up in your thing. Yeah, I'll get round to some of it. Well, try just to do maybe the grammar, or try just to do the vocabulary to bolster up the new words that you're learning every week. And then they go back in and they do, if it's 1 or 2 pages from each lesson, just to, you know, revise something. So that's all you can do, really. You can't force anybody, and don't make a huge issue of it, because that tends to upset them if they don't have the time to do it.
There was another question related to this CP exam. People want to know your personal opinion of that, because like Russian language exam for foreigners at the C2 like proficiency level is rather difficult. So we wonder what you as a native speaker of English think about that C2 level exam. Okay,
I've got one student who's done the PET, or that she's done the KET. She's training now for PET, and then you've got FCE, haven't you? So you've got all these different levels and everything. I think sometimes these exams don't relate to everyday life, and particularly from some of the subjects, they just don't relate, and they're not going to be interested in them if they can't actually follow what's being said. With a lot of IELTS, you read the academic reading parts, and it's on some really obscure bee pollination experiment in Middle America for trying to improve tomato crops or something like this. I mean, they're just not interested. So to try and get them to answer questions on it, they're sort of like, oh, good. What do I want to know about bees and tomatoes for? But if they're going for the academic, they have to be able to read something on anything and understand it. So again, it's trying to get them to hold their interest at least until the end of what they're reading and what they're listening. I've just been doing one of the new, I'm up to about lesson 83 or 84 on the ACE, the PET exam, new ones on the Vim box from a few weeks ago. And this is with she's only just turned 15. And so she's going for that exam, and they're really quite good. So I haven't seen the ACE, the FCE ones yet, so we haven't looked at those. But yeah, some of these exams, if you're not going to use them for academic purposes, then sometimes it's better to use a different test and everything Okay, Anna, whoever's Anna, she's got to leave. Thank you. Again, any more questions you've got for Elena, and I'm quite happy to answer them later.
I've got a suggestion. Before we ask like the last few questions, I have two prepared that I want to finish with because I consider them to be really interesting. And we have a question from Natalia. I just wanted to ask you guys, if possible, to just turn on your cameras just for like a few minutes so that we can take a picture of us.
Oh, good grief.
to remember this day. And it'll just take like a few seconds for my colleagues to assist.
Has everyone got their cameras on?
Yeah, are you ready? 1, 2, 3. All done.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Didn't
so
break
we've
it.
Got, sorry, we've got a question from Natalia.
Hello, good afternoon. Thank you for sharing your experience with us.
You're more than welcome.
Yeah, I'm bumped into the link just by occasion, by chance, and I'm really, really happy that I've done it. To proceed the topic of CPE, I think some colleagues might relate to the problem that I have. It's kind of imposter syndrome, you know, that you think that your language is not good enough to teach, and you're constantly trying to improve it somehow to some top level, which is CPE for today. Is it really necessary try to force you to speak that level? Because sometimes, you know, I find myself that, okay, my English is not too complicated enough to teach my students, that I constantly try to force myself to find some C2 vocabulary, try to use it as much as possible. Sometimes it's really complicated. And second question, if you don't mind, is what is optimal number of teaching hours personally for you that keeps you like full of energy and not you losing focus? Thank you.
You'll be surprised. Julia is workaholic.
Okay. For some reason, I've lost my picture of what I was looking at. Let's see if I can't get it back. I don't know why I've lost my picture. I can just, all I can see is you, Elena.
There is like a button that is called View in the upper right corner, and you can just click it.
It just won't come back up. It's it's given me a post thing or open Zoom meeting. So never mind. If anyone can see me, I can see you, Elena.
We can see you and hear you.
Okay, that's fine. It depends what the student wants. You can actually train yourself. If you go on, there's CPE online tests, there's IELTS online tests. And it depends. If you want to be able to teach them, it's to pass the tests yourself. So to make sure that you understand what's in the actual requirement of the Cambridge English or the IELTS or something like this, is to go online, and there's so many free tests that you can do. If you can pass them yourself, then you can explain them much better to your students, and then it's much easier.
And just last thing, because we've already run out of time, but there was a question again on the list, but I wanted to ask two questions, but I'll just combine it and leave it to you, which is what was the most challenging or the funniest case in
teaching numbers? You know, Jack, Queen, this, that, and the other. I was saying, right, who's got this? And it was like, I've got the arse. No, it's pronounced ace. So yeah, you can get mispronunciations, and the mispronunciations in any language can mean that you're actually saying something which is rather rude without meaning to. So you do have to be careful when you say something.
And the teacher has to be more than understanding when you're
Well,
not trying
you have to try not to laugh out loud too much, because, you know, sometimes they say something and it's like, no. So yes, someone asked about hours, and I just jokingly, I guess, I don't know, what's the most hours I've ever done? About 160 in 1 month.
I think about 190 maybe.
Oh, I've done that many in 1 month.
And you're also teaching kids, like you were teaching kids, that those hours were not counted in our stats. So
yes, I'm quite a workaholic. So yes, I do quite a few hours. I've got quite a few students. And I've got a lot of them, as I said, which are not just students, but also friends in another sense. They become my friends, which is very nice. So yeah, you have to be careful with language. I've made it myself when learning other languages, that I've said something and I've been looked at as if I'm, really? You've done that? And I'm thinking, what have I said wrong? So just be careful and be aware that one letter can make a huge difference to the pronunciation and meaning of a word.
Okay, I think we just have to finish because initially we planned it for 1 hour, but just a tiny question, which is the last one from the chat. Question from Constantine: how do you usually recover mentally after your working day?
How do I what? Sorry.
Recover mentally. I mean, just relax and Julie. That's the best tip, I guess.
When I finish, which is normally midnight Moscow time, which is 10 o'clock my time, and I've been working maybe since, I've been working sort of like 9-10 hours, with maybe a break. My treat to myself is a small piece of chocolate and a very tiny little drink. I have a glass this size, so you can see, and I put a tiny little bit in the bottom and fill it with Cola Zero. That's my relax. And I generally watch something, I'm quite honest, I generally watch something on Netflix which takes my brain down. Because I can't, even though it's 10 o'clock at night my time and I've done maybe 8 or 9 hours of actual work, I've got 6 hours tonight without a break. Yeah, so it's 1800 Moscow time till midnight. So that's what I tend to do. It's just you have to turn your brain off sometime. And the way I do it is I pour myself a little drink, have a little piece of chocolate, and I watch something on Netflix and just turn myself down or turn my brain off. That's what you have to do, turn your brain off.
Thank you for being honest. Because
too honest?
But yeah, it's now actually the normal amount of honest. So unfortunately we just have to finish the meeting, and it was like super enjoyable to me. At least I hope you feel the same. We'll share a feedback form for you guys so that you can just tell us what was right or wrong, or what can be done better in the next meetings. And just also answering the last question, people want you to say goodbye in your London accent, if that's possible.
Oh, you want me to start speaking in a London accent now? Well, I suppose I could drop my normal accent and just turn around and say ta-ta to you all, and everything's fine. Thanks very much.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thanks
Not
all
easy
for
to
coming.
speak in a London accent.
Thank you very much. That was wonderful.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome, everybody.
Thank
Lovely
you.
to meet you all. Any questions, send them to Elena, and I'm happy to answer them to her, and she can maybe send something out to you all. No worries.
Thank you so much once again.
Okay, thanks.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye, everyone. Take care.
Bye, Julia.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.